Okay, here we go. All right, scoot up if you can. Get where you can see.
Scoot up so you can see. You have your glasses. Everybody scoot up.
Okay.
I don't understand we have an app there.
Come on, put your phone away.
Yeah, phones away.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, so let's go through this. So first thing is write the simplified standard form equation of the circle with center at. Do I have an equation of a circle up here somewhere? I don't. We need to put that up. Okay, we'll do that right now on the board. So the equation of a circle. Do I not have? It should be over there probably. Is there a circle up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I got parabolas,
Oh, it's right there.
but no circle. Okay, I'm gonna put it over here by the parabolas.
I bet he reads this stuff on his board.
Yeah.
Hey, Bailey. With review.
For the final is on Moodle.
You have a review for the final?
You have to, you have to do it by tonight. By 3. I'm just gonna do graph cards.
Okay, so there it is. Right there's our standard form equation for a circle. So just looks like this, right? Standard form equation for a circle always looks the same. It just looks like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if we want to write the circle with this information, all I'm doing is plugging it in. What's h? Negative 13, right?
Yeah.
HK are the coordinates of the center. So K is 1, R is 2. All I have to do is plug it in like this then, right? I'm just going to put in X, how do I say minus negative 13? Plus 13, good. Plus Y minus 1 equals, what's 2 squared?
4.
4. That's it, right? Okay, questions? No big deal? Okay, how about this one? Same thing, right? Just gonna skip it. Same question. On that last one, the only thing that would have been different, if K is 0, what does y minus k squared look like? Just y squared. Yeah, y minus 0 is just y, so it would just be y squared. Good. Okay. Okay, how about this one? Write the simplified standard form equation of the circle with center 11, 16 and containing the point 1, 12. Okay, so they're giving us two things, aren't they? They're telling us h and k. They're telling us h is 11, k equals 16, but they're also telling us a point. This is a point on the circle, right? So that's a value of what? So if here's our x and y, exactly. So they're telling us that's a value of x and y. So x could equal 1 and y could equal 12, right? So when we go back to our standard form equation, we go back to this point. So I could plug in 11 for H, 16 for K, and the only thing that I have yet to find is R, right? But to find R, I could plug in this value of X and Y also, right? Does that make sense? Okay? Everybody get that? They're giving us 2 of the 3 numbers I need to be able to plug into my answer. To find the third one, I'll use this value of X and Y. I can plug this value of X and Y in to figure out what R is, right? Does that make sense? So really there's kind of 2 steps. Step 1 would look like this. X minus 11 squared plus Y minus 16 squared equals R squared, right? But then we could plug in the value 1 for X and 12 for Y, right? To find out what R is. If I plug 1 in, what's 1 minus 11 squared? 100. So when I plug all that stuff in, that term just becomes 100. What's 12 minus 16? Negative 4 squared is 16. So all that stuff just becomes 16. So that's what's equal to R squared, right? So that's just what, 116? So now I got everything I need. I've got H and I've got K, and I've got a number to plug in for R squared. Do I even really need to know what R is? No, not really. R is just the square root of that number, square root of 116, right? So my answer then would just look like this. X minus 11 plus Y squared plus Y minus 16 squared equals 116. That's my answer. Okay, does that make sense? Questions on this? If you have any questions? Yes, sir.
That's how we're supposed to insert it into our.
Yeah, right. So that would be our answer. Right? We're putting it into standard form. X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared equals R squared. So it would literally look just like that.
So standard form does not have X and Y.
Because the equation
No, right, exactly. So remember that X and Y, let's put this into context. H and K and R are different. Those are important numbers. Those are the parameters that define the circle, right? They tell us where the center is and what the radius is, what the radius squared is, right? So those have to be in our answer because they tell us which circle we're talking about. But X and Y are variables. Those represent the set of all the infinite points that lie on that circle, right? So in our answer, we have to have our variables X and Y in the answer. We borrowed the 1 point, X is 1 and Y is 12, in order to figure out what R squared was. But once I know what R squared is, then now I can fill in all of the 3 important numbers, and I have to put the X and Y back in to my answer, okay? So the answer looks like X minus 11 squared plus Y minus 16 squared equals 116. Okay? Okay? Questions? Okay, what about this one? Now we want to find the center of the circle and the radius. Well, this is pretty straightforward, right? This is in standard form. So the center is going to be what point? What's H? No. 0, right? Because we're just comparing this to the form X minus H squared. Well, what's being subtracted from X there? 0. So H is 0. What's K? No.
Oh,
8, right? Because this is X minus H squared plus Y minus K squared. So K is 8, right? And got to put a comma. And then my second answer, what's the radius? Well, 256 Square rooted, right? Because that's R squared. The square root of 256 is 16. And you just put that in your calculator. Okay? I don't know why it's taking so long to grade, but questions on that one?
No, I just take out those guys.
Before that? They have it written down.
Yep. How come it's 16? Because that's R squared. So if I square rooted 256, right? So to find R, if R squared equals 256, then R must equal the square root of 256, which is 16. Okay? Uh-huh.
How many questions are there gonna be?
14. This is an exact duplicate of the test. Okay, so what about this one? Choose the graph corresponding to the equation below. Okay, so this is one where I've got to put this into standard form, right?
It's the third one.
So we got to put this into the standard form, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, right? So I've got to complete the squares for both the x's and the y's, right? So remember, I'm trying to get it into, here's the standard form. Oops, H, K, and R, right? So I'm going to gather the x terms together. So I'm going to get x squared minus 10x space, right? Plus, I'll gather the y terms together, y squared minus 8y space, and I'm going to put the constant on the other side. So I'll subtract the 32 over to the other side, right? Because I just have to complete the square for the x's, complete the square for the y's, and then whatever I'm stuck with on the other side is r squared. Okay, so Bailey, what's this going to become? What's the perfect square for x is going to be? What's the number that's going to go with x? Remember, it comes from there, right?
10? I don't know.
It's got to be -5, right? It's going to be half of, because when we put it in this form, x squared plus bx, we know that half of b is what's going to go with x in the perfect square, right? So what's that tell us that h is? H is 5, right? Okay, so that's telling us h is 5. Okay, so what about the y? Oh, but one other thing though. To get that then, that means I have to add to both sides, right? I have to fill in the blank with what? What number do I have to add to both sides? 25, whatever that number is there, -5 squared. So I got to add 25. Okay, what about the y's? So Gabe, what's the number that's going to be combined with y? 4?
Yes.
Almost. -4, right? It's got to be half of -8. So that means what is k? 4. Okay. And then what red number do I have to add to both sides?
16.
Okay. And so what's that leave me with over here then? If I add all that stuff up, that's going to give me positive 41 and -32 is positive 9. Okay, so then what's the radius? 3, right? Because this is equal to r squared, right? So r must equal 3. Right? So I've just got to find the circle that fits that information. So we got to find it. We want a center at 5, 4.
It's the third one.
Okay, radius of 3. Right there. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? If we go over, let's see, over 5 and up 4, There's the center, and sure enough, the radius is 3. So that's it. Everybody see it? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we've got, we're onto the parabola stuff, right? So we want to write the simplified standard form equation of the parabola with a vertex at -4, 4 and a focus at 0, 4. Okay, so this is a little bit different question than I've given you before. I made it a little bit easier, right? If we were to graph these 2 points, let's just plot these, where would they be? So I've got a vertex has coordinates -4, 4, and the focus is at 0, 4. So is that going to be lined up vertically or horizontally with it? Horizontally, right? It's going to have the same y coordinate but a different x coordinate. So there's my focus. And it has coordinates 0, 4, right? Okay, so then does this parabola open sideways or vertically? Sideways, because it's got to swallow the focus, right? The parabola always swallows the focus, so it does that, right? Now, what's the value of P in this case? P is going from the vertex to the focus, so how far did I go? +4. Everybody see that? And so we got everything we need because the vertex, that's just H and K, right? And for a sideways parabola, for a horizontal parabola, we're just fitting this form, right? If we look over at the board, we just get y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. So I'm just going to plug that stuff in. So we're putting in for k, we're plugging in -4, right? Oh, sorry, +4. For h, we're plugging in -4, right? Because that's hk. And then for p, we're plugging in +4. So what's our answer look like then? So it's going to look like, you tell me, what am I going to type here? The quantity
Y minus 4 squared.
y minus 4 squared equals 16. 4 times, I'm plugging in 4 for p. 4 times p then is going to be 16 times the quantity
X plus 4.
x minus -4 is x plus 4. Yes, sir. Does that make sense? Okay? Okay?
Good work.
That is good work, huh? All right. Okay, so now they're giving us a focus and a directrix, right? So this is maybe just one step harder, but still not a big deal. If we draw a quick sketch of this, the directrix x equals -1, is that going to be a vertical line or horizontal line? Vertical. It's going to cut through the x-axis. If we were to draw this on the xy plane, it would cut through the x-axis at -1. So we got a vertical line at x equals -1. Now the focus has coordinates +1, -3. Is that going to be to the right or the left of the directrix then? How come? You're right. It is to the right. How come?
It's positive and X is negative.
Yeah, because look at the x value, right? The x value is further horizontally to the right, isn't it? Because that's what the x tells us. Okay, so if I drew my sketch, it would just look like this. There's my directrix, x equals -1, and there's my focus at +1, -3, and the vertex has to go halfway in between, right? So there's V. Okay, and so we want to know what are going to be the values there. So Alec, what's the vertex lines up horizontally or vertically?
Right? Oh, horizontal.
Horizontally. Okay, so which of these 2 coordinates has to be the same? The height or the the amount that we've scooted over. Height would, right? So we know then that the y-coordinates would have to be the same because the 2 points line up vertically, right? But the x-coordinate is going to have to be what in this case? 0. How come? Yeah, we got to average those two x values, right? It's got to be halfway in between the x value of -1 and +1. And so that's going to be 0, isn't it? Right? And so we end up then with, what does this tell us? So this tells us that h is 0, k is -3, and we can find p. P is just the arrow from the vertex to the focus. So is it positive or negative? Okay, Reese, how big is it? If we're going from x equals 0 to x equals 1, how long is that arrow? 1. Good, so p equals +1. And so we just plug that stuff in, right? We're going to plug this into the, it looks like we've got a horizontal parabola, right? So that's going to fit the form, the y is the variable being squared. It's just up on the board up there. Y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h, and I'm just plugging in, for k, I'm plugging in -3. For p, I'm plugging in 1. And for h, I'm plugging in 0, right? So this just looks like, how would I write this then? Tell me what to type. Okay, quantity, y, minus -3 is +3, right? Equals what? 4 times 1 is 4, good. Times x minus 0 is just x. There you go, right? That's it. No squared in the parabola, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, choose the graph of the parabola. So this is pretty simple, right? They're giving it to us in standard form. So interpret this for me. Where is the vertex? The vertex has coordinates what? What's h? 6 is h, good, because that's just being subtracted from x, right? So that's h, and k is 4, right? So 6, 4, and what's p?
-2.
Good. 4p equals -8, so if we divide that by 4, p is -2. Okay, so let's find that one. So coordinate 6, 4. Oh, and by the way, is this going to be a horizontal or vertical? It's going to be horizontal, isn't it? Because the y is the variable that's being squared. So if p is negative and it's horizontal, doesn't that mean that our parabola is going to be sideways, opening in the negative direction? So like that. That's the kind we're looking for. So there's one, but that's the wrong vertex. Okay, that looks good, doesn't it? We go over 6 and up 4. So there's V, and P is supposed to be -2. So that one works, doesn't it? Okay, everybody see that? Okay, so that's our choice. Did we get that one right? Yeah, we did. Okay, good. All right, so same kind of thing, only this time, this is maybe one step tougher because it doesn't give us the equation in standard form, but we'll just put it in standard form, right? So which variable is being squared? X. So which kind of parabola is that going to be?
Vertical.
Vertical. Good, so we've got to match the form then. We got to match the form x minus h quantity squared equals 4p times y minus k, right? So that means we're completing the square for which variable? For x. Good, so we'll collect the x terms on the left. So we're going to get x squared minus 6x space equals, and then we'll put all the other stuff on the other side. So we'll add 12y to both sides, and we'll subtract 33, right? Okay, so let's see. Greg, what's going to be the number that gets combined with x here in the perfect square? So we're subtracting 6. So b is negative 6. Negative 3. Good. Right, we're going to do half of that negative 6 is negative 3, which means what number do I have to add to both sides? 9. Good. I have to add negative 3 squared, which is positive 9. Good. So then we get x minus 3 squared equals, and what do we get over here then? That's going to give us 12y minus 33 plus 9 is going to be minus 24. Okay, so now here, this is probably, honestly, this is probably the hardest part, even though it really is pretty simple of this problem, is how do I get this side to look like that? Well, it means I've got to end up on the right side with the quantity y plus or minus something, right? So whatever was in front of the y to start with is what I have to undistribute from both terms. I have to factor out of both terms, right? So what am I left with? If I undistribute a 12 from these two terms, I get y. 12 times y is 12y, but 12 times what is negative 24? Minus 2. Good. So my final answer then just looks like x minus 3 squared equals 12 times y minus 2, right? So what's that tell us h is? What's h?
3.
Yeah, this is telling us h is 3. What's that telling us?
2.
What's 2?
K.
K is 2. And then what's that telling us?
3p.
Okay, that's telling us that 4p is 12. So if I divide that number by 4, p equals 3, right? So let's summarize that. So we get the vertex is going to be at hk, so that's going to be at 3, 2. And p is positive 3. And which variable is being squared again? So is this horizontal or vertical problem? Vertical, and p is positive, so it's going to be an upward opening vertical parabola, right? So that's what we're looking for, okay? Everything's summarized over there. Let's go find this one. Yeah, it's me.
It's the third
Let's see, so
one. No, that's not.
That's not it.
that's not it. 3, 2, oh, hold it, that is it.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, that is it. Right? Over 3 and up 2, and they don't even give us the focus, so all we got to know is it opening up or down? And it opens up, so that's it. It's the first one. Right? Okay.
Good plan.
Okay, so what about this? Now we're going to solve this linear system. Okay? So this one's written in standard form. How should we solve this one? How should we solve this one?
Elimination.
Elimination, right? For sure. So what are we going to, which variable are we, Victoria, are we going to maybe try to get rid of? You pick. How about the x's? What could I multiply the bottom equation by to get the x's to cancel?
2.
I want to get the x's to cancel when I multiply straight across. What do you think? So I've got a negative 12x on the top. What can I multiply the bottom by to get a positive 12x? Say it again. Oh, I could do positive 2 and subtract, or I could do negative 2 and add. Either one, right? I like to add, so I'm going to do the negative 2. So the top one, we're going to leave alone. That one's just going to be negative 12x plus 8y equals 64. And the bottom one will multiply by -2. So if I distribute a -2 all the way through, what am I going to get for each of those parts of the equation?
12x.
Positive 12x,
Negative 4y,
negative
8y.
8y.
Equals.
negative 64.
Okay, so then when I add these up, the x's cancel and the y's cancel, so I get 0 on the left, and the constants cancel, so I get 0 equals 0.
Infinite.
How do we interpret that?
Infinite.
Infinitely many. They're the same line, aren't they? Okay, so our answer is I am.
Isn't it Catholic?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Either one's gonna work.
I'll go next.
Okay, what about this one? This time, what do you think? What number should we multiply by here?
The upper one by 2.
Upper one by 2, you could, that's fine. I'm gonna say you could maybe even, yeah, that's fine. Upper one by 2 works, okay? So if we multiply the top one by 2 and leave the bottom one alone this time, that's gonna give me what on the top?
8x.
Trevor, what am I gonna get on the top if I distribute a 2 all the way through both sides?
8x minus 2y.
Is your name
Trevor?
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 Negative 8y equals 0.
Okay, and on the bottom, we'll leave it alone. Okay, so when I add these up then, what am I gonna get when I add all these up? What about the x's? They cancel, right? They add 0. Negative 8y plus 2y, and 0 plus 24. So then I get negative 6y equals 24, so what's y?
Negative 4.
Or if I divide both by -6, I get y equals -4. Where do I go to find x?
Just plug it in.
Plug it into either one of the first two. Which one should I probably use?
Top.
Top one, yes,
Top
definitely.
one. Good job, Dr.
So if I plug into the top one, I'm gonna get 4x minus 4 times y, which is -4, equals 0. So 4x, what's -4 times -4?
Plus 16.
So what are the two steps in order to get x by itself?
Minus 16 divided by 4.
So what's x?
Negative 4.
Negative 4.
So I get x is -4, y is -4. Right, so that's my ordered pair.
Thank you.
Okay?
Good job.
Got it. Okay, so now we're on to substitution. Yeah, good. We've got one where we've got this solved for y, right? So same kind of thing, only this time we're going to use this substitution equation and plug in right there, right? So the top equation then is going to become what? What are we going to get on that top one? Alex. So when I plug this in for y, I'm going to get 6x minus what? 10 times,
Oh, you got it.
that part right there? Okay, because that's my substitution, so whatever used to be a y is now going to be that. And that's all equal to -66, right? So now I've got a pretty simple equation to deal with here. Kobe? Brendan? Yeah, go to there. Kobe. So now what? So we're to here, right? So we're to this point. So we made our substitution, right? We substituted this y value in. Now what am I going to get if I simplify? Well, but you can catch up. It's no big deal. So we got a 6x. What's going to happen here? Well, I'm just distributing a -10,
Oh, just should be,
right? So what's that going to give me? -10 times -x is
positive 10x.
good. -10 times +5.
Yes, 50. Negative.
Good. Okay, now what?
No clue.
Oh, yeah, no, you do. I'm not except, I know you do. You've done this stuff a million times. I've seen you do it.
You add the.
Okay, so like term, so what's this gonna give me?
That should be 16.
16x, good. And then how about here? What am I gonna do to that guy?
Add 50 plus that.
Good. So that's gonna give me negative 66 plus 50 is negative 16. Last step?
Divide.
Good. So I get x equals, what's negative 16 divided by positive 16? Negative 1. Okay, so now where would I go? Now we're 99% done. Where do I go to find y?
So the one that you lost.
Yeah, exactly, right there. So then y would just equal negative x, which is negative 1, plus 5. So what's negative 1
Positive 1.
plus 5?
6.
6. Okay, good. So there's our ordered pair. Good. That's pretty good for no clue. My goodness. So then we got negative 1 comma 6 for our ordered pair. Okay. Okay. Oh, you want to do another one, Kobe?
No.
Oh, put that phone away then. Head up. Let's go. Okay, so next one here. Now we're on to a linear quadratic system, but same kind of thing, right? What am I going to do? What's my strategy going to be here for this one? What do you think, Dante? What's my strategy going to be here? I've got a quadratic equation. Now, which variable is being squared in the quadratic equation? X is. So what variable do I probably want to substitute for? Y. Okay, so then I'm going to go down to that bottom equation, and I'm going to solve for y. So if I solve for y in that bottom equation, what's the only thing I got to do to get to y by itself?
Minus 4x.
I gotta add 4x to both sides. Okay, so then that's going to give me, everybody agree, that's going to give me y equals, on the right side, I'm just going to get 4x plus 4. Everybody agree?
I agree.
Okay, so then that's what I'm going to substitute in there, right? And so my first equation just becomes x squared equals negative y, and I'm just going to put in parentheses, right? I'm going to open up a set of parentheses there to substitute whatever y is. Well, y is 4x plus 4. So I got negative y plus 1. So I can simplify that, right? That's just going to give me x squared equals negative 4x. If I distribute that negative 1, negative 4x minus 4 plus 1. In other words, x squared equals negative 4x minus 3. Okay? So it's a quadratic equation. What's the next step going to be?
You add 4x and set it all.
Okay, good. I've got to add 4x and add 3. I've got to get it equal to 0. I've got to put it into standard form. So I get x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Now I want everybody to stop and stare at that for a second. You got to find magic numbers. Very good. So what are the magic numbers?
1 and 3.
1 and 3. Excellent. Okay.
Good job.
Good stuff. Love it. No Savannah today?
No Savannah
No.
today.
Okay. Oh, I got Bailey. No Brooke? No Sophia. Okay, here we go. So we got magic numbers, don't we? Right?
Yes.
So now everybody focus please. We got just a couple more minutes to go here. Is that right? Yeah, we can get through this. Oh, what'd I do? That's what I did. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we could use quadratic formula, but we don't need to. We got magic numbers, right? So we could write this as the magic numbers that multiply to 3 and add to 4 are 3 and 1, right? Those are not my solutions, though. I got to use the zero product property, right?
Yep.
So Hudson, what's going to be the solution that goes with this factor? What value of x would make that one 0? Negative 3. So one solution is going to be when x equals negative 3. The other one is going to be when x equals negative 1. So all I've got to do is plug those back into my boxed equation, right? So when x equals negative 3, what's y going to give me? What's 4 times negative 3?
Negative
Negative 12. Plus 4? Negative 8. Very good. So this is going to give me y equals negative 8 goes with negative 3. What about negative 1? 4 times negative 1 is
negative 4.
plus 4.
0.
So those are my two ordered pairs, right? So then all I've got to do is just put those in parentheses. So I got negative 3, comma, negative 8, comma, negative 1, 0. Right? Got to put them in the right order, x first, then y. Okay, last one. Last one.
Not enough time, we're done.
We're at to take a test on Monday and do some more.
No, test tomorrow.